at 112, folks. Let me see if I can compete with the cat, with the traffic, and with the man next door who's decided to mow his lawn. We're on Unit 6 at this particular point. There's a couple of huge chapters in here with a lot going on, but the best thing I can do is kind of go back a little bit into the last unit, because in the last unit it talks about post World War I. And so what we have is the interwar period. The interwar period is huge, because after the war, Britain is going to receive some free parting gifts. What we have is a mandate system, and the mandate system takes the former territories of the losers. It takes a good chunk of territory that used to be the Ottoman Empire, and it divides it up. It does not give sovereignty. It doesn't give independence to a lot of places. What it does is it carves them up, some into new countries, some into old countries, and some into countries in waiting. And the mandate system is for the countries in waiting. One of the largest areas is going to be the Middle East. It's going to be over there near Saudi Arabia. It's going to be in an area that becomes Transjordan. And Transjordan is the Middle East. Think Jordan. Okay, think Jordan. And so what happens is this: Great Britain has made some treaties under the table that Wilson isn't really aware of. One of those comes with the Balfour Declaration. The Balfour Declaration is the British official recognition of the idea that perhaps an Israeli homeland would be a good idea. And so what they've decided to do is they've decided to officially recognize the old boundaries of Israel. And they're within the confines of Transjordan. And so what they're going to start doing is working on creating a new Zion. They're going to create a new Jewish homeland. But not yet, but they're working towards that. And so that's going to cause a lot of dissatisfaction. Now, there's some other areas that are problematic. One of those areas is going to be modern Turkey. One of those areas is going to be Egypt. There's a few other places popping up. One other thing that's noted on that is it talks about the May 4th generation and Sun Yat-sen and China, but it also talks about Vladimir Lenin. So I'm going to hit Vladimir Lenin first, not physically, but just the topic of him. And what he's going to do is he's going to have the idea of creating socialism in one country. What he wants to do is create a socialist country that will watch out for itself, that will take care of itself, kind of a new communist ideal. And he's going to do that with something called the NEP, the New Economic Policy. And the New Economic Policy is important because what he tried to do is he tried to go through and create everything communist. Well, it turns out that when you put everything communist, when you take everything and put it under one banner and say, okay, well, listen, now everything belongs to everybody. Well, the problem with communism, where everybody's going to be taken care of regardless of their input, regardless of their ownership, well, folks, we're human. If we don't have to work, a lot of us aren't going to work, especially if we're going to get the benefit of you working hard without me having to work hard. And so what he tries to do is put everything under ownership of the people. The idea of this commune is not going to work out. If people aren't going to benefit, they're not going to work. So what he does with the NEP is he allows some small privatization, some small idea of personal ownership, and allows them in a small capitalistic fashion to go ahead and reclaim some of what they used to have. This works out well. Okay, it works out well. It's improving. It's improving up until the time Lenin dies. Okay? When Lenin dies, there's going to be a struggle, and the struggle is going to be for leadership in the Communist Party. Well, he has one of his direct followers, Trotsky, who helped him form this, but he also has a lot of people that are what they call patriarchs. And there are people that are part of the apparatus that put together the Communist Party. One of the stronger people in this group is going to be Joseph Stalin. And Joseph Stalin is huge. He's one of the founding members, or at least part of the founding builders of the party. Joseph Stalin is an interesting character because he's going to build several of the local units of it. And so he's got a lot of friends scattered around the country. He also helps to finance it. One of the things he helps to finance it with is prior to being a full-time political activist, he used to rob banks. And so he'd rob banks to go ahead and help finance the party, which is kind of an interesting thing. What he's going to do is he's going to say, hey, listen, I am all about communism. I am all about this. but he's going to take a slightly different approach. His different approach is going to be a totalitarian regime. He is going to be a dictator. He is going to apply what is known as war communism. And this war communism is a slightly different brand. What he's going to do is he is going to reinstitute collectivization. Okay, nobody owns everything. Everybody owns everything. The government owns everything. He's going to go ahead and take away and get rid of the NEP. And then what he's going to do is he's going to seek out people that disagree with him and kill them. He is going to institute what become known as the Great Purges. There are two kinds of people in Russia. The live ones that agree with Stalin and the dead ones that don't agree with Stalin. Now, he doesn't quite kill everybody who disagrees with him. He decides instead to go ahead and open up some farmland in Upper Siberia. And so he's going to send people to gulags, prison camps, up in Upper Siberia so they can expand the farming territory. There's a lot happening here because what he's going to do is he's going to work to put them on a better footing. He's going to create a series of plans, and the series of plans, something along the line of the NEP, but again, there's no private ownership. The series of plans is to help them catch up with the United States, to take communism and help it be as productive, to help it be as successful as what's happening in the United States under this capitalist plan. Now, one of the other things that comes up here is a guy named Mustafa Kemal. Mustafa Kemal is kind of important because at one particular point, what's going to happen is he's going to develop another name. The name is Ataturk. During World War I, he is one of the Young Turks. He's one of the commanders in the Ottoman Empire in the area of modern Turkey. And we're going to appeal to him, and the Brits will appeal to him, and the other allies will appeal to him. It's like, listen, what we need you to do is we need you to lead an uprising against the Ottoman Empire and to go ahead and fight against them, to distract them as we do the rest of the war. What he will do is he will take the Young Turks, he will unite them, and he will stage a rebellion. And the rebellion works really well. What he's going to do is he's going to break away modern Turkey from the Ottoman Empire. And then the Brits and the other authorities are going to say, hey, you know, that's great. So after the war, this is what we're going to do. And he's going to turn and tell the Allies to take a flying leap. He is going to go ahead and create Turkey. He's going to create, he gets the name of Ataturk, which is the father of the modern Turkey himself. And that's huge because we're going to develop a kind of a tentative partnership, okay? But again, that's part of that post-war, middle war period. Something else that comes up about this particular point is going to be expansionism and dealing with imperialism. We're going to see the rise of a guy named Mahatma Gandhi. And this is important because what he will do is he will lead a rebellion, an uprising against the British in India. And he is going to say, well, listen, what we're going to do is we're going to rebel peacefully, that we're going to go ahead and institute civil disobedience and nonviolence. Well, that works really well, except for the British don't have that pledge. So one of the things the book talks about is going to be the Amritsar Massacre, which is a really ridiculous British commander who decides that the only way to handle a crowd that needs to be dispersed is to open up machine guns on them in an enclosed space. It's a horrific thing, but it's one of those things that I think is important. What I find really interesting about that is Gandhi is going to lead his people against the British, but when World War II breaks out shortly, he's willing to go ahead and put this struggle on hold until after the war, because he realizes it's going to be more important that they take care of the issue with the Germans. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead and cut this off here now. I think the very next unit here, or a very next discussion, is probably going to be a mix between these two chapters because there's a few more things to talk about. All right, take care.